What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the latest big Jets news. It seems like every single day this week, the Jets got something big that we got to talk about. Today, we are reacting to Todd Downing taking over the play calling and the Jets getting some reinforcements back from injury. All right, here is the big one to get us started. Jeff Ulbrich spoke to the media today, and he announced that Todd Downing is taking over at play caller.
Regarding the staff, after a lot of time to think about it and did not make this decision easily by any means, I'm going to make Todd Downing the play caller for the New York Jets going forward. And this is more a byproduct of a different take on things. I'm not saying it's a better or worse take on things by any means, but just a different take on things, a fresh approach. So ultimately, Todd will have the full say on the game plan and ultimately the plays that are called within the game. Saying that as well, just another testament to the human being that Nathaniel Hackett is, the fact that he's going to give us everything in his body and heart and soul, and he's going to continue to be a big part of the success we're going to have going forward from an offensive perspective. And just I feel so fortunate that he's staying with us. I mean, here's a guy that's been a head coach in this league and willing to draw cards, willing to do whatever it takes. So the true heart of a servant. Just I feel so fortunate that he's on our staff, that he's in our lives, and I can't speak enough good things about him.
As I've expressed, I don't think Todd Downing is some savior. Heck, I don't even really think he's all that good. The issue is they had Nathaniel Hackett, who might be one of the few play callers who are worse than Todd Downing. And there was one point where Todd Downing did have a little bit of success in this league in 2021. So I wanted to pull up his 2021 numbers. In points for, they were 15th to the Tennessee Titans, 17th in yards, 30 plus points 5 times, 20 plus points in 13 of 17 games. Ryan Tannehill that year went for just over 3,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and an 89.6 rating. As for the rushing offense, naturally you'd go, well, they have Derrick Henry. They're going to be good. And they were. But Derrick Henry missed 9 games that year. 551 rushing attempts was number 1 in the NFL. They had 2,400 yards, which was 5th, 23 touchdowns, which was 3rd, and 4.4 yards per attempt, which was 14th. Now, my hope here is that Downing and the Jets get the run game going, specifically this week. You look at the matchup, the Buffalo Bills against the run have been the worst in the NFL. They are allowing 5.2 yards per attempt. Worse than the league. Now, am I saying they're going to run for over 5 yards a carry and go absolutely bonkers and go for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground? No, I don't think that's a fair expectation. But in the 2 games they've won, they went for over 100 yards as a rushing unit, and the 3 games they lost, they were under 100. So I think that really matters. You don't want to be dropping Aaron Rodgers back 50 times a game. If Rodgers is throwing in the high 20s, low 30s, and the Jets are running the ball 30 times and being effective with it, that's ideal, and that's what you would want to see. And you know, I'm hoping that they're going to utilize some more motion. That's something that Dan Orlovsky pointed out as one of the changes that they could make, because Nathaniel Hackett really refused to do that. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers isn't a big motion guy, but Todd Downing might look to work that in a little bit. And I'm also hoping that with Jeff Ulbrich's identity, that he goes for a more aggressive approach and the offensive play calling reflects that. While the Titans offense was really bad in 2022, the good news is they were still good in the red zone. Over the 2 years that he was the play caller in Tennessee, they were 6th in 2022 and 8th in 2021 in red zone conversion rates. So that's huge. The Jets far too often settle for field goals in the red zone. They need to convert on touchdowns, and maybe that's something that the Jets can get going in the right direction as well. You had Aaron Rodgers speak, and he was asked about the coaching change at the play caller spot. He said Ulbrich and him talked about it, and he'd back him whatever he decided.
What's your reaction to obviously Jeff's move to strip Nathaniel of the?
Yeah, I mean, I knew there'd be changes after they let Robert go. Had conversations with Brick over the 2 days. I knew that he was thinking about it, leaning toward it, and I told him I'd back him up whatever he decided.
Not a surprise. I talked about it in yesterday's video where it sounded like from Woody and Ulbrich and Rodgers' comments that it was heading this way. And that's the direction that the New York Jets decide to go. And once again, like, I'm not really all that surprised by it. I think it was the right decision to make. Now, am I victory lapping Ulbrich and Todd Downing as this amazing duo and the Jets are going to be unstoppable? No, let's not go there. I'm not nuts here. But can they improve? Is there a path for them to get better? Yeah, it is. I think there is. And, the first 3 games of the year, they did score 3 offensive touchdowns a game, which was unheard of. We didn't see that, at all last year. They only did it twice all of last season. That's not something they do very, very often. And in the last 2 weeks, they have 2 touchdowns. None against Denver, 2 against Minnesota. They need to get back to being more productive offensively. And I'm hoping that's what happens this week against the Bills defense that is a little banged up right now. They haven't looked good. And I think there's an opportunity to be had in a huge game for the Jets. We've talked about it at length already. This game is for the division right now anyway. Again, like, long season. I know it's only game 6 of the season, but these games matter. If after all this, the Jets find a way to get to 3-3 and are still in first in the division, you can sign up for that. And you hope that this season that win gets you back on track. The Jets received some good news on the injury front as well. Morgan Moses and Leki Fotu are set to return. So the Jets offensive line really hasn't looked right the last 2 weeks, which coincides with Morgan Moses missing time. And Morgan Moses, I thought, was maybe the Jets' weakest link through the first 3 games. But unfortunately, Olu Fashanu did not look like he did in the preseason and in relief of that in that New England game. Last 2 weeks, they really struggled. They faced the number 1 blitzing defense and the number 2 blitzing defense in the Broncos and the Vikings. Clearly, that impacted them. But Morgan Moses coming back and hopefully stabilizing this offensive line a little bit, I think, is a win. And I'm sure Olu will get a chance at some point later on this year to redeem himself. As for Leki Fotu, picture a run-stuffing interior defensive lineman. He's essentially going to be Al Wood's replacement for, he's kind of held down the fort, or he did hold down the fort last year before tearing his Achilles. Fotu's going to come in, and he should be eating up on the interior of the defensive line in the run game. He had a good training camp, and I'm hoping that he helps contain the run. The Jets, if there's any criticism of this Jets defense, they're not great in the run game, but hopefully adding their best, Quinton Williams is their best, but their next best after that interior run defender should be a nice win. That's it for me in this one. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.